Hi, my name is Sassy Smith, and I am the director of Teens Camping Tour of the West. Thank you guys for hopping on. I'm really excited to tell you about TCTW and all the places that we'll go over the 23 days we travel together. I'm going to get my screen shared with you right quick, and we will hop in and I'll tell you all about it. Okay, I think you can see it now. So, as I said, Teens Camping Tour of the West, come see what's yours, discover America. So this all started back in the summer of 1967. This guy named Peter Cole had a love of working with young people and a love of travel, and he put those things together and started taking teenagers out west. I am the third director of the tour, and I am working hard to keep Peter's dream alive by hopefully taking some of you guys out west this summer. A little bit about me: I went out west as a teenager in the summer of 2000, and I came back and started staffing in 2006, right after I graduated undergrad from Chapel Hill. I worked hard a lot of years and just found myself keep coming back and back and back, and I couldn't get enough of staffing. And in the fall of 2012, I took over as director. So I think this might make my 10th summer as director of TCTW, and I'm really excited to get back out there. Basic details about the trip: we have two trips this summer. One will leave on June the 13th and come back on July the 5th. And the second trip will leave on July the 11th and come back on August the 2nd. We travel in three of these lovely ladies right here. We like to call them Joe Cole, Snoopy, and Woodstock. And then occasionally we have a minivan that travels with us as well, and we call her Peanut. With those three vans, we will also pull along three utility trailers. That's where we're going to throw all of your luggage and the things that you bring along, but it's also where we're going to keep all the major camping equipment, which I'm going to bring. I'm going to give you a packing list that covers everything, so it makes it really easy. You'll know everything you need to bring to get through those 23 days. And then I'm going to bring the heavy duty stuff like tarps, tents, propane tanks, stoves, all that kind of stuff. I'll bring that along. One of my favorite things about our setup is that our vans have their own two-way radio frequency. This might not sound super cool to you right now, but from a staffing perspective, it makes it really easy for us to communicate in traffic and make sure we all get to the same place at the same time. And it's also quite fun to be able to talk to your trip mates as you're heading across the country and back as well. So this is the route that we're going to travel. As we go through the day by day, you can look for this little tent, and that will tell you where we're camping each night. But we start in North Carolina, head across Tennessee, up through St. Louis, across Kansas, Colorado, dip down to see the sand dunes, hit Four Corners, the Grand Canyon, head in the southern end of California, spend 5 days exploring Cali, top out in San Fran, down through Yosemite, breakfast in Vegas, up through Utah, across Wyoming, South Dakota, the Midwest, Wisconsin and Minnesota, hit Illinois, and then 23 days later, we are back home in North Carolina. So we pack a lot into these 23 days. So I'll hop right to it and go through the day by day with you. Day one, you're going to meet me bright and early in Statesville at McClure Park. You're going to say those long, sad goodbyes to mom and dad and maybe your dog if they came along. And you're going to hop onto the van. Things might be a little awkward with 15 new acquaintances crammed in the van together, but that fades quickly as we make our way over to camp tonight. We're not going very far, just over the Tennessee state line. We're going to get to camp early. We're going to have a nice dinner together. I'm going to get you oriented with all the things in the trailers. And if it's your first night camping, no big deal. We'll help you figure out the sleeping bag and all that kind of stuff. We're going to play a friendly game of volleyball. And you can see our champions from first trip last year down here. That's us, Woodstock right down there. And yeah, as I said, if tonight's your first night camping, don't worry, we'll take care of you. You'll get you all snuggled in, and we will be up tomorrow morning on the road early as we head up to St. Louis. When we get there and get to town, you are going to, like, your eyes are instantly going to be drawn up. And at the very top, all the way up here at the top of the arch, there are these tiny little windows. The windows are for looking out. So of course, we will hop in the little tram and ride up to the top. But before that, I hope you guys check out the museum that is down in the base of the the arch there. It's pretty cool. It was updated a couple years ago, and a lot of neat things to learn about the St. Louis area and the Mississippi River. So we're going to cram into these little pods you see right here. You see 4 people right there. There are actually 5 people all packed in there, and we will ride all 630 feet up. You can see the little placard there with Annika to the top of the St. Louis Arch. Once you're up there, you can look out and see the Capitol building or look all up and down the Mississippi River. If the Cardinals are in town, and we will pop over there to see them. And you can also see a little tradition. You imagine we probably have a lot of traditions with 50 some years of taking teenagers out west. At the bottom down there, we like to write a little something in the grass for all to see from the top of the arch. This was on hold last year as COVID protocols didn't let us do this, but hopefully we'll be able to get back to it this coming summer. From here, we're going to head over to Graham Cave State Park. I've never seen Graham Cave, and you're probably not going to either because we're going to get here pretty late, and we will be up early again tomorrow as we make that push across Kansas. Kansas is a pretty long state, so we'll have a few stops to break the day up. One of those is going to be in Abilene, the home of Dwight D. Eisenhower, President Dwight D. Eisenhower, and it is a neat little old-timey town that's sort of just frozen in time, and we will spend a little bit of the afternoon there. You can check out the presidential library or see his home. You can head over and get you some little dog snuggles and pets and licks, as it's been a couple days since you've seen your dog, and the Greyhound Hall of Fame is there in Abilene, Kansas. We're going to head from there over to camp, and this is likely going to be one of your favorite campsites, as it's always a favorite. When we get to Cedar Bluff State Park, there's a reservoir there, big wide open fields. You're going to play some frisbee, maybe some football, some soccer, go for a dip. Just a really great afternoon at camp. We'll have a great dinner together, and then we will take in one of many sunsets together. It's always a glorious sunset there in Kansas. And then tonight, when you lay your head down, as long as you keep your eyes open for a little bit, I can pretty much guarantee you'll get to see a shooting star. Kansas has really great skies, and I'm really excited to share those with you. So if you know anything about geography, Kansas is pretty far across the country. It's about halfway-ish, and we did drive there. So you might be wondering what we have been doing in the van all of that time. And we find lots of ways to entertain ourselves. If it can be played in a van, we will play it. Lots of solid naps, card games, the sticky note game where you try to guess who's on your forehead, Mafia, Assassin, those games. Katie here was a solid napper, and a couple summers ago, we loved to play how much could we stack on Katie without her knowing. And oftentimes we could put a little something up and take it down without her noticing. If you are at all intimidated by the thought of spending so much time in the vans, I can assure you that these really become some of our favorite times out west together. Ask any past participant, and they will be able to just sort of overwhelm you with all of the van memories and the good times that we have there. Parents, you might be wondering something a little bit different. My teenager's halfway across the country. Who did I send them with? That is a great question. This is pretty typical looking staff here. One of the unique things about Teens Camping Tour of the West is that our staff are past participants of the tour. I think it says something about this experience that this many young adults figure out how to take 23 days off of their real lives to come back out west and pass this experience along to new participants. Everybody is 22 or finished up a college degree. Like I said, they're past participants of the tour, and they're living out some of the lessons they learned while we were out west together. We're also first aid CPR certified. I'm also a wilderness first responder, so I have a little bit more training in how to care for and take care of folks in a wilderness context. I'm working on wrapping up who all's going to be staffing this summer. Things are shaping up nicely, and I'm pretty excited. And I will share their bios on social media as that gets solidified. But a good group lining up so far. We're going to hop back on the road, and we've made it to the Rocky Mountains. We're hitting up Colorado today. Our time here is going to start in Colorado Springs. We're going to head over to the Air Force Academy. You're going to hear me several times be like, last summer was a little bit different. COVID still had a lot of restrictions going on last summer, and that means we got to do some different stuff. A lot of the stuff we did was really unique and fun. And we will keep and make some adaptations, and a lot of the things that we couldn't do last year, we'll be happy to have them back this summer. So we'll visit the Air Force Academy. This is a beautiful college campus nestled right along the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains. I know you don't see the Rockies in any of these pictures, but I promise you, if you turned around 180, you'd see Pikes Peak and the Front Range there. I'm going to encourage you to head over to the Cadets Chapel. That's the building you see there in the center of the screen. It looks like wings pointing to the heaven and is quite beautiful. After that, we're going to head over to Garden of the Gods. I love this place, right in the heart of Colorado Springs. These red rock formations sort of pop up out of the ground. It seems unreal that they are right there in the city. We're going to spend the afternoon here, and you're going to have time to learn a little bit. This is an educational tour. So you see Aubrey up here on the right telling us about Garden of the Gods and these formations and how they got here. And then you're going to have the opportunity to actually head over in and hike around, boulder around a little bit. It's a really fun way to spend the afternoon. Then we're heading to what's likely going to be one of the most unique places you'll spend the night, because tomorrow morning you are waking up in sand. We have made it to the Great Sand Dunes. Just like the Arch, we're not content looking at these. We are going to hike them. And every year, I have the exact same thoughts when we get there. We get there and you look out, like, see this picture, like, this doesn't look too bad. This peak that we're going to up here, a little perspective. St. Louis Arch was 630 feet. We would not wanted to have taken the stairs, but today we are going to take a sand stairmaster 750 feet up to the tallest dune in the park. At first, we're going to cross over the Madonna River, which you can see down here in the lower left. You're going to hike a little, rest a little, hike a little, rest a little more. You can see here, look back and how far we've come, all these little footprints, how far we still have to go. Everybody is going to have lots and lots of rest breaks, and we're all going to struggle the last little bit of the way. See that trail there? Woo, all the way back over here to the vans. But we will make it to the top, and when we do, it is quite beautiful up there. Beautiful skies, the Sangre de Cristo mountain range on one side of you, sand dunes for forever. It really feels like you could be on another planet here. So took us about an hour, hour and a half to go the 1 mile to the top of the dunes. It does not take us anywhere near that long to get back down. But this is what it is like to go down. Pay attention right here. Woo! It's a really cool sensation to kind of moonwalk down the dunes, and wipeouts are not uncommon, so be careful. We'll spend a little bit of time getting the sands out of all the nooks and crannies, and then we were headed over to our first little western town on the trip. We're making a stop in Durango. Durango is a depot town. It's a train town. If you ever come back here, there's a really cool train that takes you up Molasse Pass up to Silverton. I've not done it. It is on my to-do list, my bucket list, but it looks really, really cool. I've driven through the past, but I think it'd be really awesome to take the train. You'll have time to check out town, check out the shops, lots of murals here as well. I really love this ice cream shop here on the far end of town. I'll tell you about when we get there. It's probably one of my favorite ice cream stops on the trip. You might get to see a real cowboy this afternoon. And when we leave there, we're going to head over to Four Corners. This one, our timing is always not always great, but if it's open when we come by, it wasn't this past summer because of COVID, but we will make a stop where you can, be in 4 states at one time. Either way, we're going to dip into New Mexico, say hey there, and take in a little sunset in the desert. The desert always makes for a great sunset. Then tomorrow morning, you are waking up at the Grand Canyon. We're going to spend 2 nights at the Grand Canyon. And this is one of, I think, folks' favorite days. It looked a little different this past summer as that COVID had some restrictions that didn't let groups of 10 hike into the canyon. So we did things a little bit differently and had a really fun day exploring the rim, which was also quite strenuous with the hot days, and there's more change in elevation than you expect for a rim walk, but we all had fun. We will get to take in this beauty all day long. The canyon really is mesmerizing. I think it's so cool how it can look so different throughout the day, from morning to the middle of the day to sunset. It is quite a sight, and I could sit and look at it all day long, and that's exactly what I am going to do while you guys do the hard part. Like I said, a beautiful sunrise there, midday, and a sunset. So you guys are going to do the hard part. We hike with a great company, REI Adventures, Arizona Outback Adventures. They provide guides for us. You guys will hike in groups of 7 with a wilderness first responder guide who knows all there is to know about the geology of the Grand Canyon. They're going to teach you so much. They're also going to make sure you have fun and are entertained on the long haul in and out of the canyon. One of the unique things about this experience is that here in the East, we typically hike mountains. We do the hard part first. We hike up something, look out over it, have this great sense of accomplishment, and then turn around and get to do the easy part. That sign in the right up there, caution, down is optional, up is mandatory. 100% true. You're going to do the easy part first. Take a break, have a little snack, and then turn around and have to do the hard part. So it is just as much a mental challenge as it is a physical challenge today. The other thing is that it's pretty hot here. It's different than if it were 100 degrees here in the humid South. It is a dry hot. So we're going to do a lot of things to make sure you stay hydrated and well fed so that you can be healthy and safe today. And you're going to have a really fun time in the canyon. And like I said, you're going to hike, 1,600 feet down to this spot, look out, have a little snack, maybe take a little nap, and then turn around and have to climb this canyon wall, all those feet back up out. So the hard part next. But when you get back to the rim, it is quite a sense of accomplishment to stand there, look out over the canyon and think, I did that. Every year, millions of people visit the Grand Canyon, but only like 5 or 10% go below the rim. So you're going to join an elite club of folks today as you trek into the canyon and out. Once you guys get out of the canyon, we're going to have a great afternoon at camp. We know you've worked hard, so the staff's going to pamper you a little bit. But before I tell you about that pampering, I have to tell you a really bad joke. And if you've ever been to a slideshow before, you've seen this because it's been passed down from director to director to director. You guys know the saying, the thrill of victory. Oh, William on the ground. If you followed us this past summer, William could literally lay down and go to sleep, pass out any old where. His mom really hated this. We really loved it. So I couldn't have a whole slideshow without having at least one tribute to William on the ground in there. So you guys know the saying, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Well, this is it. Are you ready for it? It's a really bad pun. Oh, the agony of defeat. I'm going to pretend you laughed at that. I can't hear you since you're watching online, but it's quite possible. You'll have a blister or two. You'll have some canyon dirt that you're surprised. You're not really sure where it came from, any of that jazz. I'm going to back up off this so you don't have to look at feet while I tell you about what's coming next. But I told you we're going to pamper you a little bit. When you get to the rim of the canyon, the staff's going to pick you up. They're going to drive you back to camp. You're going to be able to take a shower, hang out, play some guitar around camp, write some postcards, and the staff is going to cook you the best dinner. And tomorrow morning, if you want, I'll get you up nice and early and take you to see the sunrise over the canyon. The cool thing about this is that you'll be able to go back afterwards and go back to sleep for a little bit. There's no daylight savings in Arizona, so the sunrise is super early, like 5 something in the morning. So we'll see a beautiful sunrise. Then we will head back to camp and you'll lay down and go back to sleep, and you will wake up to the staff making you the best breakfast in bag you've ever had, delivered right to your sleeping bag. You don't even have to get up. We'll bring it to you. After that, pampering's over. We're going to get back to things as normal. We'll say goodbye to the canyon and head over to one of my favorite little towns, Sedona. This is a beautiful slice of Red Rock country. And if you don't know much about Sedona, it is known for energy, vibes. There are these energy vortexes around town. It's where opposing energies, complementary energies come out of the earth and like make a vortex, twist around each other. So when you get close to one, the trees are very twisted and wound up. So you're going to see lots of things like crystals, chakras, jewelry, like those type stones and gemstones, those types of things. It's all there, crystals. Fun little stop. It's also a great little place to buy jewelry, They also have a little spot that is known for the world's greatest hot dog. That's what the girls are checking out down here. Sometimes they're sold out when we get there, so if you're lucky, you can give it a try. If traffic's not too bad, we'll go up and check out Chapel of the Holy Cross, which is this beautiful church up here in the right, sort of nestled right into the formations, and like subtle but like profound in a really awesome way. There's also this really great petting zoo. I don't know if there's a better word for it, but there's this man in town who's really a reptile advocate, and he has all kinds of things for you to check out and hold. This guy is huge, and I do not remember seeing him. He was a new addition since we had been there in 2019. So we'll see if he's back there this summer. And if you are not in the reptile loving family, don't worry, he's got a Great Dane too, so you can get some puppy love if you want that as well. It's also a great place to pick up some lovely socks for your sockos or for your divas if you didn't bring any with you. And then tonight you see something a little different. It says Desert Drive down there. There are a couple nights on the trip when we're going through places that are extremely hot and pretty unpopulated. So we do those in the evening. It makes it easier on the vehicles and ultimately on us as well. So we'll drive through the night tonight, and tomorrow morning. Oh, before I tell you about that, I told you last summer was very different. We cut some days out of California because California was just opening up as we got there and had a lot of group size restrictions. So some of that extra time we spent in Sedona this past year. We stayed at a great little campsite, went on a Pink Jeep tour, went on a hike at Little Bell Rock. It was just a really phenomenal addition to the trip. I'm really trying to figure out how to add all of this and bring back all of the things that we had otherwise as well. I think it's important to share with you guys the adaptations that happen if things don't, I guess, follow the itinerary that you see right now. And who knows, lots can happen between now and then. But I do like to share with you that if we do have to make an alteration to the itinerary, I promise you that I do everything I can to make sure that it's something fun, something enjoyable that I would want to do if it were a vacation just for me. And everything that we did last summer was really well received. So I hope if you have the opportunity to talk to someone who went out west with us, that they can tell you all about the times when I'm like, oh, we're doing something new here. We're doing something new here. It was a lot of fun to try out a lot of new things. And I think that, you know, it's a testament to how good things can be, even if they are different. So I will point out a couple other times when things were different this past summer. So these next handful of days, like I said, tomorrow morning you're waking up in California. These days look very different if you went out west in 2021 versus if you went out west in 2019 or if you go out west this summer. We typically spend 5 days in California, but like I said, this past summer we only did 3. Our time here will start in San Diego. We'll head over to Silver Strand State Beach, and you have some choices today. You can stay and hang out on the beach all day long, or you can head over to the San Diego Zoo. It's a world famous zoo. Any animal you want to see, they've got it there, so check that out. If you stay on the beach, we will head up to the town of Coronado, and you'll have an opportunity to eat lunch somewhere local there. Pop into some shops. We'll all meet back together this afternoon on the beach, play some volleyball, some soccer, swim a little, build some sandcastles, have dinner, and watch our only sunset all the way on the West Coast. Can't get any farther west than watching the sunset over the Pacific Ocean. So this next day, I always felt a little guilty saying it was my favorite day of the trip. And I kind of feel even more guilty saying that since we didn't even have this day last summer. Well, we didn't on first trip, we did on second trip. It still looked really different on second trip. But tomorrow is a day that ranks up there for me. And that's because we go to Disneyland. We'll get there early. You'll have all day to explore the park. I like to route my day around like what's in this picture and this picture up here. I like to eat my way around the park. I love park food. I love ice cream shake like Mickey's Head and churros and pretzels and apples and street corn and all of that yummy goodness. I also love to hop on a few rides or two. So you can go find a princess to take a picture with today, ride Splash Mountain. Lots of Star Wars stuff going on, so you can get in on that. This evening, we'll all come back together and watch the fireworks over the castle. And then we'll head over to watch Fantasmic, which is a laser light show over the lagoon in front of Pirates of the Caribbean. just takes you on a journey of Mickey's imagination. I love it. It's probably my favorite part of the day. And then as a big group, we will ride Indiana Jones and Space Mountain, and we'll wrap the day up with a little bit of ice cream at Gibson Girls on Main Street. You're going home tired tonight because we got here early and we are shutting the park down. It's well after 1 o'clock when we get back to camp tonight. Everybody's going to pass out on like the 5-minute drive back to camp. So we'll start things a little leisurely the next day as we take on Hollywood and Santa Monica. This was a day that also looked a little different this past summer. You had a choice. You could just stay at the Santa Monica beach all day, or you could head over to Hollywood in the morning. I love the way we did Hollywood actually this past summer. So working on making this summer look like that as well. We headed up to the Griffith Observatory, which is on a mountain that's kind of right there outside of city of LA. You can see the Hollywood sign from up there. Then we made our way down to Hollywood Boulevard. You can go find your favorite celebrity star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. These ladies are checking out Britney Spears, who's one of my faves. Or you can go into the Grauman's Chinese Theater, find your celebrities' handprints there. After Hollywood, we will head over to Santa Monica. This is an afternoon of the trip that I've really fallen in love with. It is like quintessential California beach. When you picture that in your mind, Santa Monica is most likely what you're thinking. If you look at Olivia down here in the middle, she is on a boardwalk here. People are going to be rollerblading by, roller skating by. You know, their bulldogs are going to be walking along with people on skateboards, bicycles, big old beaches, huge tall palm trees, just a perfect afternoon. And that Southern California weather is top notch. There's also a 3rd Street Promenade, which is a street that they've closed down to traffic. It just has pedestrian traffic, shops all along the side. Santa Monica is also the home of the pier. It is, I don't know where I show up on y'all's screen, but it is, you can see the Ferris wheel right here by the A. Santa Monica. There is a pier there. There's some rides you can ride out on it. So I encourage you to head out there and check that out. And then it's also the home of Muscle Beach. So you can give it a go on the ropes and the rings and watch them slackline and do all kinds of cool tricks and play volleyball and work out. And it's also a great place to hit up a local spot to eat. So you see these guys down here on the left. They're eating at one of my favorite places, Cha Cha Chicken. So you can hit that up or forge out on your own and find somewhere to eat. We'll spend all day here. We will leave right as the day is wrapping up. We'll catch a sunset on the road. And this past summer, this is Thomas on the top of the Ferris wheel there out on the pier. We're taking on the Coastal Highway the next morning. So we are back to early mornings. We're going to drive from sea level to hundreds of feet above sea level as we drive along the mountains that follow up the California coast. One of my favorite things about today is that there is a beach where there are always these elephant seals hanging out. These guys are huge. And we sort of started a new tradition a couple years ago of stopping and watching them. And it's so cool to see them undulate and how they move. They are ginormous and they just kind of like, I don't know, belly flop along. We got to see them like neck fighting in the water and being all kinds of interesting when we were there. But this is what your view will be out the window all day today. Big rocky beaches, just cliffs, beautifulness. And tonight, hopefully, we'll be able to sleep amongst some redwoods. This is a campsite that had some severe fires a couple years ago, and they are in the process of opening. So they're not open yet, but fingers crossed. If they are, we will do our best to spend the night there. And like I said, this past summer looked a little bit different. So we did get a second sunset all the way on the ocean. This is in the Malibu area. This picture on the left here is one of my happiest moments for being out west this summer. We were going to a new campsite, so our timing of things were a little bit different. And as when we were pulling through here, it was just breathtaking. And I couldn't not pull over and let us soak it up a little bit. So we took in a little sunset there, again on the coast before making our way to camp. We stayed at 2 different awesome campsites in Malibu, one on first trip, one on second trip. Everybody loved them. So I'd love to be able to incorporate them going forward as well. And then this again was a day that we didn't have this past summer. So we transferred this day to an extra day in Wyoming, but we normally like to spend the day in San Fran. We'll start the morning off in Chinatown. You'll be able to check out all the shops, do a little bargaining, pick up all those souvenirs that you need for everybody to take back home, grab yourself some authentic Chinese, and then head over to maybe Haight-Ashbury for the afternoon. This is where the hippie revolution sort of flourished and thrived. It's very vintagey and retro and glitter bombs, just a very interesting part of town. So you can check that out if you want. We'll spend the afternoon doing all things quintessentially San Francisco. You can check out Lombard Street, which is the crookedest street in America. It's right here where these guys are. You're also going to go back in time a little bit today, is that you are going to use a paper map to get around from place to place. I'll give you one of those when we get there. And you can also check out Ghirardelli Square. We'll hit up Fisherman's Wharf as the evening sort of rolls in. Things come alive there in the afternoon. There'll be people doing art on the street, and you can get yourself a bread bowl with some clam chowder or a lobster roll. And then we will head over to the Golden Gate Bridge, and I'm going to drop you off on one side and then drive over to the other side and pick you up. You're going to walk across. This is new for us. We just started doing this a couple years ago, and everyone really loved it. So sort of like a new thing that I can't imagine us not doing now. After that, we're going to head over to In-N-Out Burger. Classic California grub here. So look up that secret menu, make sure you know what you want to order. Burgers and fries, that's what they do, in milkshakes. So fill those tummies up, and then we're heading over to a friend's house tonight. Steve Seskin is a singer-songwriter. He has written lots of #1 country music hits over the years, and he is a good friend of the tour. And he's going to host us tonight, play a private concert just for us. Steve actually loves us so much. This past summer, when I was having a hard time finding campsites in California for us, he even offered to let us sleep in his backyard, all 40 of us, which is pretty intense, but he really does love us enough that he would do anything so that we could have this experience with him. So we had a little house concert with him. And then we headed over. We did find a campsite that was in his backyard, but it was a little bit of a drive after this, but it got us just a little bit closer to one of my favorite places of the trip. I have lots of favorites. I qualify them all differently so that I can have that many. But tomorrow we are headed to Yosemite, and this place is just everything my heart loves. Green grass, blue skies, huge stone mountains, big old waterfalls. Just so good. This past summer, also, the park system had this reservation system, which I just saw that they're going to keep in place this summer. So I'm interested to see how busy it is, because normally Yosemite is packed. It's like the Disneyland of national parks in terms of people are everywhere. Parking is hard to find. And this past summer, with their COVID restrictions, it really felt like we had the place to ourselves. It was pretty darn magical. I mean, it's magical always, but to kind of feel like you're the only people there just like takes it up like 12 or so notches. So 11 out of 10 for the reservation system. When we get there, you can frolic in fields, you can hike up to the base of the falls, which is what these guys did here. Hop in, go swimming. You see them in here hopping in, or just find yourself a nice little spot along the Merced River to go swimming. I will warn you though, the water here is very, very cold. And that's because, it's coming off the top of those mountains. It was snow melt and snow and ice and all that kind of good stuff. As we leave the park, we will make a stop at the Tuolumne Grove of giant sequoias. So we saw some redwoods yesterday. Today we are seeing sequoias, which are way, way bigger. Some of the biggest and oldest trees in the world. Trees so big that you could drive a car through them. You can see there a tunnel tree on the right. You can also see that when you cut tunnels through trees, they don't live through that. It's not a good look on them. The grove is closed to traffic now, so you have to hike down there the mile down, and we'll do that. It's also the day that the tree huggers come out of the woodwork. See the boys down here? It's another time I'm just going to pretend you laugh. I should put a laugh track on here. I am not technology enough to know how to do that, but that would be pretty cool if I did. When we leave Tuolumne tonight, we will drive through the night. We will cross through Area 51. Who knows what will happen? Thomas was mesmerized by the Area 51 gas station that we stop at. and was suckered right into buying this touristy sweatshirt. But he came to love it, as well as Catherine, the staff that he convinced to get one to twin with him. And tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up for a little bit of breakfast in Vegas. I'm not here very long, just long enough for you to stuff your face. And then we're back on the road. One of my favorite days of the trip. This is also a day I like to talk about detours, because Yosemite can be, with fire season being as erratic and unpredictable as it has been the past couple of years, it is quite possible that there will be fires that prevent us from being able to visit Yosemite. And when that's the case, we do things a little differently. So these are some of the detours that we've had over the past couple of years. There's a great campsite that we love at Snow Canyon State Park. Utah has 5 national parks, but it has so many phenomenal state parks, and that's one that you really feel like you're waking up in a movie set. It's just so beautiful there. Also, a bunch of cool hikes there. They have petrified sand dunes, they have lava tunnel caves, so lots of cool stuff there, like a interesting little start of a slot canyon that'll only continue to grow over time. So we'll check those things out if we get the opportunity to stay. Occasionally, when we take a different way out of Yosemite, we also like to make a little stop at 7 Magic Mountains, which are these colorful boulders here. This was on the trip this past summer. Just a cool art installment that's right outside of Vegas. But in our normal plan of events, our time in Utah starts at Bryce Canyon. Bryce Canyon, I think, really takes us all by surprise. It's no Grand Canyon, but it is phenomenal in its own way. When we get there, just a couple miles, we'll get you down to the heart of the canyon and back up. There's a cool tradition of hoodoos there, so I'm going to wait and let you learn what those are when we get there. We'll have a little campfire this afternoon, lay our heads down in Red Canyon. There's always a debate of, does Kansas or does Utah have the better stars? Utah has some pretty dark skies, so the stars there are typically pretty good. So fingers crossed for one of my favorite stargazing nights. I always like it when the moon isn't quite full there, so you get a better sky to look at. And then this next day has evolved a lot over the past couple years as well, how we spend our time in Salt Lake. We'll head up to see Temple Square, which is this picture here in the left corner, learn a little bit about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and their trek across from New England to the west. In the state of Utah, like, soda shops are a thing. So we'll head over to Sips or one of those guys and have some customized drinks. And then we will check out East High School. I will take you guys to East High School as long as you want me to. And the boys will sometimes try to tell you that they're not all about visiting the home of Troy and Gabriella, I don't even know. But it is a fun time. We all get into it. We all love it. It's really hard to not recreate a picture or two while we're there. And we'll leave East High School and head over to one of these new places that we've been spending more and more time at that I really just love. I don't know if you watched the Q&A might be a couple weeks ago at this point, but asked me my favorite place, and I said that this one was really a sleeper and creeping up, Bear Lake. We get here in time to have dinner and to take in a sunset. It's a great place to go swimming. It is always just, sunset is phenomenal, sunrise is beautiful. It is a great evening, and I really love it. So I can't wait for you guys to see Bear Lake. And then we're heading into what's probably going to be your favorite state on the trip. We've made it to Wyoming. We're going to head over to Jackson and over to Jackson Hole Mountain Resort. We didn't get to do this past summer because of COVID things, but hopefully everything is back in business this summer. We'll head over to the big old tram, hop on, and ride up to the top of Rendezvous Mountain, 10,450 feet above sea level. When you get up there, 360-degree views of awesomeness. You can see straight down the Teton Ridgeline. You can look all out over the valley known as Jackson Hole. Turn around, you see all of Idaho. Might get to see a little snow up there, especially if you're on first trip. There's also a waffle shop, so you'll be able to try out some of the awesome flavors. It's been a while since I've had a waffle up there, so can't wait to get an Englishman. I think that's the one that I like. It's lemon, so yummy. We'll have a picnic lunch, and then we'll head down into the town of Jackson itself. Jackson is pretty touristy, but we still love it. Right in town square, there are these arches made of antlers. There's an elk refuge right out of town. It's where the Park Service feeds elk in the winter to sort of help keep the herd healthy, since they would typically come live in this valley that is now a tourist destination. In the winter, if you go visit, you can actually take sleigh rides through the elk refuge, which is kind of neat. A little climbing park in town. There's a cool adventure center over at Snow King Mountain at the far end of the valley. You can ride a chairlift up. You can ride an alpine slide. I think they call it a cowboy coaster. Yep, you can see it down there. That's Wilson and Grace. This was new for us this year, and it was quite fun. It's also a great place to buy some souvenirs. We love things from Jackson. So mom, dad, brothers, and sisters, it's quite possible that if you get a souvenir, it might say Jackson or have like the Wyoming rodeo guy on it. Wilson's face sums it up right here. This is how we feel about Jackson. Like I said, it's a great day to get you some souvenirs, some matching jammies. It's a tradition. You see it happening over here in 2014, and it's still happening in 2021. So snag some matching jammies as we head over into camp tonight at Grand Teton National Park. Gosh, this is such a great evening. We'll see at Grovont Campground. It's beautiful there. You'll be able to see a sunset over the Tetons. We'll have a little dinner, and tomorrow we'll spend our day in Coulter Bay. You're going to have choices of how to spend the day. You can go hiking, you can rent a canoe or a little motorboat, or you can just hang out on the shores and take in the majesty that are the Tetons. It is such a cool way to spend the day. Everybody loves this day. It's always on like the top 3 days of the trip. And this afternoon, we're going to head over and meet Barker Ewing and go on a float trip. We will float right along the base of the Tetons as the sun sets tonight. You can also see Celia up there, seeing a little wildlife. It is a really good opportunity for us to see a wildlife. And like I said, you'll see the sun set behind those guys. That is the grand you're looking at right there. Said wildlife. Well, what might we see? Lots of different things along the river there. Bald eagles. There's a really healthy population of bald eagles along this portion of the Snake River that we float. So you'll see a few of them. You'll spot a nest or two. If you're lucky, you'll get to see maybe an eaglet or two up in the nest. Moose. Gosh, I love to see a moose. This guy's a little adolescent, and you can see his small paddles there. And then when we're very lucky, we might get to see a bear, a little cinnamon guy right here. It's my favorite way to see bears because we are in a boat and they're on the side of the river, like no interaction there, but we get to gawk at them and it's awesome. And then you guys will also get to see my favorite animal, which is the beaver. Big old floating rocks. I love those guys. We'll say goodbye to the Tetons and head over to Yellowstone National Park, our first national park. This day looked a little different here. This past summer, we spent a little more time than normal. We went over and saw Old Faithful and the Geyser Basin around there. And then we headed up to Grand Prismatic, which is the big old colorful guy up here that I'm sure you've seen in photos. And our normal stop is down here at Lewis Falls on our way across the park. And we really got a treat this past summer. Sarah Davis is the chief head ranger at Yellowstone National Park. She is a past participant of Teens Camping Tour of the West, and she came to camp and told us about what it's like to, I guess, sort of grow to this position in the park. And it was really neat to hear about how TCTW was really kind of like the start of that journey for her. It gave her a love for the outdoors and I guess a desire to be a steward and to be able to have an impact on the people coming in and visiting the park. So it was also really interesting to learn how diverse the job of a ranger is and what all entails. It is very intense. I am proud to know her, and I am so thankful that she came and met with us and talked to us at camp. I imagine that if she is in town this summer, she will come see us as well. She talked to first trip this past summer, and then she was out of town on training for second trip. So fingers crossed she's there for first and second trip this summer. As we leave Yellowstone, we'll head over to Cody. We're still in Wyoming. This is a fun day. You'll be able to get up and go hiking. That's what these guys did here. They took a trail over to this dam that makes the reservoir right outside of town. We'll go rafting today on the Shoshone River. We'll also grab ourselves a buffalo burger at the historic Irma. Just a fun, full day. Everyone's going to want to hit up the Bargain Box, which is a thrift shop in town. And why do you need to go to a thrift shop? Well, you need an outfit to go to the Cody Night Rodeo. Cody has a rodeo every night, Memorial Day through Labor Day. And we go on a Friday night. So like the best bull riders are in town. We just have fun with it. A good fun way to spend the afternoon. We actually have rodeos here in North Carolina, so you might have been to one, but I often think that it's the first rodeo for a lot of us. So it's just an interesting slice of Americana for us to take in these last few days that we have together. And if you are super adventurous, you too can hop onto a bull and see if you can last 8 seconds like John Bailey here. This past summer, like I said, did some different things. So we went over to Devil's Tower, which is this big geological formation down here on the left. Really cool to boulder up around the base of it. We made a stop at Mount Rushmore. You can see Katie up here being the fifth face on the wall, and spent the night in the Badlands, which is this over here. The Badlands, gosh, so daggum cool. Just a really unique place. Can't imagine that I'm not going to keep that one in there. So you can look forward to the Badlands. And then we drive through this night sometimes, and when we wrap that desert drive up, it will be at Waldrug, South Dakota. I never like to say too much about Waldrug because I really kind of like you to just like get there and soak it in. It is a unusual place. They lure you in with free water and 5-cent coffee, and the next thing you know, you're making friends in the backyard, seeing dinosaurs, riding jackalopes. Like I said, it's a unique place. Our time together is coming to a close, so we will have a little bit of a celebratory cookout. The staff's going to cook for you this afternoon. We will have a full evening at camp. We really just want to enjoy and soak up these last couple of nights we have together. Look how good we look after 20 days of camping. As we cut across the Dells, we have to make a stop at a cheese store. So you can see the boys over there getting a little snacky snack. And I'm a cheese connoisseur. If we get here and you are overwhelmed at the hundreds of cheese in these cheese stores, just come find me and I'll tell you what I think you should try. And I'll also ask for as many samples as you want. So if you're a little intimidated by that, please let me help you. This past summer, we also stopped in Madison. This was new. Tori, who was one of our staff, she actually had just finished up grad school here, so she wanted to show us around town a little bit. It was a fun stop. I imagine we'll be back there again this summer. And then our last big stop of the trip is going to be in Chicago. We stopped at a beach a little north of the city, had breakfast, looked out, saw the skyline, and then made our way down to West Virginia for the last night of the trip. 23 days, forever in the flash of an eye, we are back home in North Carolina. To call this undertaking a tour is an unavoidable simplification. The staff and I are going to try really hard to make it something much more than that. It's going to be an experience that leads to your awareness of others and your involvement in your surroundings, and your senses will be key to the discovery not only of this country's great majesty, its proud people, its creativity, and its productiveness, but also to the discovery of oneself. So we're going to travel over 7,000 miles together in 23 days, check off 21 states, 7 national parks, lots of state parks, share 67 meals, come home with 44 new friends and 2 sore feet, but there's only one teens camping tour of the West. All right, so that was a lot. If you're still watching, thank you so much. I hope that answered some of your questions about the things that you would get to see while we are out west together for these 23 days. If you have additional questions, please feel free to give me an email. Shoot me an email. It's sassy, SASSY, @TCTW.com, or you can shoot me a text as well. The number is on the website. Yeah, thank you guys so much. I loved having the opportunity to tell you about TCTW, and check the website, the Instagram, the social media. We'll have a couple more Q&As before applications are due, and I look forward to hearing from you guys and meeting you and hopefully traveling out west with you. Bye.